don't have to tell you how expensive the restaurants have gotten, and even the fast food restaurants, they're just out of range as far as prices going. You can't afford to take a family or even yourself there anymore to eat. So I decided to recreate the Wendy's chili. I have been craving that for a long time, and I have been copycat recipes for years. I finally found the one for the chili that looks like it matches it, and I gotta tell you, it's pretty spot on. So I hope that you'll hang around, see how it's done, and just watch through the end of it. I'll have the recipe in the description down below, and I hope you all will try it and let me know what you think about it. Okay, so let's get to making this chili. This is a Wendy's Copycat chili. I found it on Pinterest. The one that I got it from was Dinner Than Dessert was the website, and I'm going to be putting it on my blog, which is actually Covington Creek at Home. So if you're looking for a blog, I've got some interesting things on there, and I'm going to be updating it. It's been a while since I've actually done anything with it. I've got a few things new that are on there, but I'm going to be putting more. But the ingredients that we need, it calls for, and I'm going to do half of this recipe because it makes 12 servings, and I definitely don't need that many servings. It does call for ground beef 85/15%, which means it's 15% fat. What I've got is actually ground turkey. I had it in the freezer, and I'm trying to use up some of the older things in my freezer, and this is one of them. I've had it out there for over a year, so, and it was not vacuum packed. I tasted it. It does still taste good, so we're going to use that. Calls for celery, which I have already diced up. Chili powder, kidney beans, which I've got the light red kidney beans. Usually I use the dark, but we're using the light ones today. Diced tomatoes. Oh, I got 2 cans. Oh, tomato sauce, and then pinto beans. And then this is the jalapenos. Yeah, they are store-bought. They're not my homegrown ones. And bell pepper. I've got to get that diced up yet. And cumin powder out. But it calls for butter. I put olive oil, and I'm going to do it in a crock pot. The actual recipe talks about putting it on the stove, but you do let it cook for 2 hours. So I'm going to do it in the crock pot. I'm going to show you a quick no-tears method to cutting onions. I already cut up the 1/2 of it, and I didn't film that for this quickie, but you slice it in half. You cut the top half off, slice it in half. You keep the root part together. This lets it peel the skin off pretty easily here. Now it's not going to do it. You watch. You get this off here. There we go. Get this off, and then you keep the sliced end down. You cut almost back all the way to the root, however thick you want to make the slices. And having a sharp knife really helps, because the sharper the knife, the less it crushes and the less the aroma comes up, and then you just slice it however wide you want it, whatever your preference is. Slice it, and there you go. You just put it in the dish. Voila, no tears. Okay, so I got my onion chopped up. The celery, as I said before, is chopped up. I have put half the onion into the crock pot to soften up some. Got the other half in that I will end up using for other dishes and on my salads. Get that off of there. Next piece is a green bell pepper. Just rinse it off real quick here. This one needs to be used up. It's starting to get a little wrinkly on it. And just a tip that if you have bell peppers that are not too wrinkled up, slice them, put them in a dish in water, put them in the refrigerator overnight, and they will firm up considerably. I know I was really surprised when that happened, and I found it by accident doing that. get this all done here. Well, I'll tell you what, you guys don't need to watch me do this. My onion is in heating up and softening up in the crock pot, and I will bring you guys back whenever it is time to put the other ingredients in. So my onions have softened up in here. I'm getting ready to put my other ingredients in. I'm going to wait on the meat because it is already cooked. I couldn't sleep last night and got up at like 4:30 this morning, and that was one of the things I did, was cook the meat for this. So it is calling for, and remember, this is a half recipe from what's going to be on the blog. This is going to be for 6 servings, not 12, but it calls for, we're going to do 15 ounces of tomato sauce in here. And I'm going to go ahead and turn this down on low. That's what it calls for it to be cooked on the stove. I have it on high to do the onions with, and then it's the kidney beans, and it says do not drain them. Pour the liquids and all in. So here we go with that. And the chopped tomatoes, not drained. Give this a really good stir here. And then it calls for pinto beans, which these are like 14. This one is 15 and a half. These are approximate because it calls, the original recipe called for like 29 ounces of these things. So we're going with 14 ounce and 15 ounce cans of things. And this would actually make a really good carry-in, or, you know, big family dinner get together. I have diced already, and there is the onion. I did 1/2 of a yellow onion. I already chopped up the jalapeno, and I already did the bell pepper, and the celery is down under that. So it called for a 1/2 of a bell pepper, and it called for 1 stalk of celery. So those are already diced up. Those are going to go in. And, you know, I think next time, whenever I make this, if there is a next time, we'll see how good it is. I'll put the spices in first. It does call for cumin powder, but I don't like cumin powder, so I'm going to leave that out. And if somebody wants it, they can add it to their dish of it. And then it calls for, it's going to be 1/8 cup of chili powder. So let's get that in there and get it stirred around. I'm lucky, I just happen to have, my measuring cups have got 1/8 of a cup. Just get this stirred up really well. You know what, it's not stirring very well. Let's use my spoon here. And just get it really stirred up. And then it's going to call for 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. I'm just going to grate some in there. I like freshly ground pepper. And I like black pepper, so I'm okay if I get a little bit too much in with it. Luckily, David does too, so. And then it calls for 1 cup of water. So let me grab that. Here. Let me get my filtered water here. There you go. And it calls for salt. I'm going to leave the salt out also because I'm not a huge salt person. I have tinnitus, which is a ringing in the ears, and salt does make it worse. And I find that most ingredients, even the canned ones, like the canned vegetables, the tomatoes and the beans, they normally have some salt in them, and that's usually enough for me. And again, if somebody wants more, they can add it. So I've got it on low. I've got it all mixed together. I'll put the meat in. I'm going to put my timer on for an hour. And then I will add the meat to it. That way the meat can cook for an hour and it can absorb all of those good spices and flavorings that are in there. It can just marry together. So I will bring you guys back. I'm not sure if I'm going to make any cornbread to go with this tonight or not. maybe I will, or maybe we'll have a grilled cheese sandwich with it. That actually sounds pretty good. But I will bring you guys back. So the chili is done. It's later in the day, so the lighting isn't the greatest. But this is so good. I have to admit that I had a bowl earlier. Well, it's even better after it's been sitting a while. It had been in the fridge. And just heat it up, put a little bit of shredded cheese on it. But the green peppers have still got a crunch to it. You can definitely taste it in there. It's not overpowering, but it is so good. The jalapenos just give it enough of a kick, for me anyway. But I hope that y'all will try this and that you'll let me know what you think about it. Y'all take care and have a good evening.